Christina, thank you for joining me. This is an annual tradition that we've started that I really look forward to. So how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jake. Thanks for having me on tonight.
This is it's a lot of fun. So because we both love cards, we always want to start off with a little bit of card stuff. So I got a couple of Christmas cards to share with you.
Awesome.
That I don't think I've talked with you about these cards before. So I've got 3 of them. And then I wanted to kind of pick your brain as an avid card collector. I think we're really hard to shop for the holidays. So maybe if you've got some like good gift ideas for people that are trying to shop for the card collector in their life, I'll give you a couple minutes while I'm sharing my cards to think about that.
Okay.
So the first one that I've got here, the first card, it is a Ken Griffey Santa hat card. And this is like
Tilt it a little. You're picking up a light. There you go.
There we go. Thank you.
Perfect.
It's like you're a video pro. Like you've done this before. So this is a Santa hat that he actually wore in that photo shoot. This photo shoot was done at the MLB All-Star Game, which was held at Fenway Park that year. So some tie-ins for me. It's a jumbo. I got it slabbed by Beckett just to protect it because they're a pain in the ass to get protected well. So that's the first one. Along the same theme, I got the Kevin Garnett that goes with it. So there's a set. I think there's just 3 players in the set, but I might be wrong. There's Ken Griffey, there's KG, and there's Kobe. And the Kobe, there's like one on eBay that somebody wants like $700 for, and they're not going to get. But this one, from what I understand, this piece actually came from the Santa bag that Kevin Garnett is holding in that picture. So a little bit different. But the grail, the holy grail for Santa card collectors, all 5 of us, is the Santa suit. So this is a game-worn Santa suit. He wore this in the sleigh with the reindeer and all the toys. And you see they use his moniker of Kris Kringle on there, as well as Santa Claus. So they're covering all their bases. I don't think it says St. Nick anywhere on here, though. Just Santa Claus and Kris Kringle. So those are my holiday cards, all recently slabbed by Beckett to keep them protected for posterity.
That's awesome. I love them, and I'm interested to learn more about that Kris Kringle card.
I will send you
some research.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will send you some close-up pictures of the verbiage that they have, because back in the 90s when they made cards right, they would tell you like a little bit about the material. So I'll send you a picture of that later on, so you can read it for your own delight, because I think it's a fun piece of the card. I wish it had an actual autograph on there. Some of the stuff that they're coming out with now, giving some love to modern cards from Topps, that has like a piece of the jersey or the piece of the suit and an autograph, I think is really cool. So I haven't gotten any of those yet.
Okay. Do you own a Santa Downtown?
No, not yet. But
okay.
I do have a saved search. So if anybody wants to give me a seal, I'm not willing to pay like the $300 that they're going for right now.
Yeah, they're pretty steep.
Yeah, they'll settle down. Eventually, I'll get mine.
I would warn you on that though, because I thought that, and I was watching some cards and over the summer, thinking no one's thinking about Christmas, but these Santa Claus, these Pro Set Santas are ending, and they were not ending cheap. So
I was watching one of the 89 Pro Sets, because I still don't have that one. I have the 90. But the 89, I was looking at one, and I've been seeing them raw sell for around $50. So I'm like, if I could get, like, I'm comfortable getting one around like 30 to 40, right? I always like to be a little bit lower. So I haven't found one at that price point yet. And it seems like every single year I set the same price point, and I'm just a little bit shy. So at some point I might have to bump my budget up a little bit.
There was a PSA 10 of the 89 Pro Set Santa that ended in May, and this is the one that set me off to like start watching.
Yeah,
it ended on May 14th of 2023 for $176.50. That's
a good price for a 10.
very good price. So that card transacts now, like literally one sold on December 4th for $715.
Sure.
So like someone got this deal of a century.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the time to grab them. If you can be in that mindset at that time of the year. But if you have a save search, it does the work for you. You don't have to think about it. You just click on the save search and see what's there.
For sure.
So what are some good gifts to get the card collector in your life?
Well, one gift that we always ask for in our house from relatives is eBay gift cards, because they can be used throughout the year on anything that you actually want. It's really hard to request like a specific card because there's not a set price. So like, unless you're going to send them the link to an eBay like an eBay set, like listing, or like, I would hesitate to send them like an auction, like listing.
It could get dangerous.
Yeah, it could get very dangerous. And tell them what is, like, unless you send them the link and tell them like what the price should be, your average gift giver who's not in the hobby isn't gonna know. So I would go with some standards. Some things that we always like in our house are cardboard gold supplies, penny sleeves, and grade savers, those kinds of things. We also ask for, so Chris's brother always, like, we always give each other wax. But like he collects and we collect, so like it makes sense, and like he knows what I would want to open, and I know that he wants Prism football, like so like it's not like, you know, I'm buying him baseball and he doesn't watch baseball. Like, you know, you have to know the person you're giving the gift to a little bit and what you prefer to like really get a good gift when you're gifting wax. And then shameless plug, Card Ladder offers gift cards, so you can always pick up a month subscription to Card Ladder and gift it to the card collector in your life.
Or a year. Go for
or
a full
year.
year.
Yeah, or a full year, you know?
Yeah. One that I asked for last year I didn't get, that I'd like to add to that is I like to keep my cards, like after I've got them in the penny sleeves and the card savers, in the graded card, like the 2-row boxes. So I asked for some of those. So I think that, you know, storage is always something that we ask for help on.
Oh, for sure. I found these really cute. I don't really enjoy the look of the white boxes like on shelves. You can see like there's one behind me on the shelf next to Chris's desk. I don't really enjoy the look of that. So in our living room, I'm in the office right now, but in our living room, I actually found these like wooden boxes on Etsy that fit cards. Like they're made for, they were like listed as like Pokemon and Magic cards, but like same size, guys, so who cares? And they're just like this like very nicely finished wood box. And it's not heavy, like it's a pretty like thin box, like, and I like the look of those, like, because they display well more so than the cardboard white boxes.
Yeah.
You have them out, like, I find the aesthetic more pleasing that they're black or these like birch looking wood versus white cardboard box on your shelves.
Yeah, that makes
still deal with
sense.
them, but but like most of those like are slowly being phased out of the house.
Yeah, I have a couple of nice wooden boxes. I think I got them from somebody on Instagram that like makes them custom. I want to say that they're called like the slab box or slab case or something like that. It's something along those lines, or the mag box or something like that on Instagram, and they make them custom with some parameters, but they make really large ones, but they're also very heavy. So if it's something that you want to take out and show people your stuff, once you put cards in there, they're not something you want to be moving around a lot. But the other thing that I was talking to another collector that was on IG. I think she was she wasn't on IG for long. But I had this idea. My uncle was a librarian, and at one point he had some old cards, and he was like, "Oh, you could definitely store these in the old what do they call them? The thing that had the index cards in them for the filing system." And she actually used that, and they fit. They have some that are different sizes, but she was able to fit slabs in there pretty easily. So that's something that I've thought about in a future. I don't have the space for it here, but that's a piece of furniture that's pretty sturdy that's going to stay there. But also, it's not going to look terrible because usually they kind of have brass finishings on them and stuff. So.
Yeah, I've been looking for one of those for a good 5 years now.
Okay.
And I can never find one that is the right dimensions. And I've toyed with I know someone from Connecticut who does woodworking.
Okay.
Makes furniture, and I've toyed with having him build a custom piece, but I would rather buy a card with that money because those custom wood furniture like that gets pretty pricey pretty quick. But yeah. If I could, I'm right there with you with that. A really good looking statement piece that sorts and stores your cards, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, but I'm 100% right there with you in terms of buying one of those or having one made. There's a lot of wood. There's a lot of drawers. It takes a lot of material. So it's even if you found somebody that make it for you at cost, it's still not going to be cheap. And you're right. That's always our conundrum is I could pay for this thing to store the stuff and look really nice, or I could get this card that I really want in my collection. Usually, I know for myself, I go for the card over the storage stuff.
Same.
Yeah.
It's not even just in the card world where I think that of I could get this one piece of furniture for my cards, or I could buy a new card. It's everything. We could go on vacation and stay at this hotel, but if we don't go on vacation or go to vacation here instead and stay in this place, we could use that balance and to buy a card, and that's basically a free card now. That's called collector math. You've heard a lot about girl math and boy math. That's collector math. Any money I save anywhere is now a card in my head. Yeah.
Yep. I hear you. And it's I love hearing how you and Chris are able to kind of make those joint decisions, because my wife doesn't get it at all. So it's my card budget is something that's off to the side. We've carved out stuff in our budget, but when we I was telling you, when we went to New York with our daughter.
When we finally say goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm.
We're seeing the rockets! we're here.
There was never a conversation about, this money that we're going to be spending in New York, we could be, that was never. It was this money is going to, she kept saying core memories, right? So I can't argue with her on the cost of core memories versus this Santa card. The Santa downtown would be really nice in my collection if we just didn't, if we downgraded our hotel room.
I mean, you probably had a much nicer time than we would have, though, at that, because we would have talked ourselves out of doing everything you did in order to buy a card instead. So there's the downside of two collectors in one house.
True. Well, and the funny thing too is the number. I mean, I don't go to New York a ton, but I've been there a number of times, and every year that I go to the National, I'm talking to the guys at Bleecker about when are you gonna stop by, Jake? And I'm I want to. But it's like every time I'm in the city, I'm with my wife, I'm with my daughter, and it's like I'm always up by Times Square, by Rockefeller, so like getting down to Bleecker is like I have to make an intentional trip. It never ends up happening, never ends up fitting in the schedule.
You know, I don't want to hear it because we were just at Bleecker less than a month ago, and you were too busy to come hang out with us. So
I was in the city literally the next day. Was it the next day? I'm trying to think. Were you guys there? You guys went there on a Thursday. It couldn't have been the next day because I went there the day after Thanksgiving.
No,
so it was the week before.
Yeah.
I was too cool. You're right.
Yeah, you were too cool.
Yeah, I even sent you a message. I think I said that. I was like, haha, I'm too cool to go hang out with you guys.
I'm pretty sure that's fact.
Yeah. So, sorry, not sorry. Isn't there a song about that?
That's fine. Speaking of songs.
Yeah. I didn't even plan that. Maybe I did. Okay. Let's talk about our favorite Christmas songs. And so I don't know about you, but for me, this was difficult for me to put together a list of the top 10. Because there are a bunch of songs that I'm like, I can't believe I'm leaving it. I was listening to a song on the radio today. I'm like, that one's not on my top 10? Like, okay.
No, this was extremely difficult. And I told you earlier, I have a Christmas playlist on Spotify that I listen to year round. Like I'm one of those people. And it has 20 hours. Like that's the playlist length of time. It's a 20-hour playlist. And getting like 202 songs down to 10 was extremely difficult. And I even messaged you and I was like, what are the parameters we're working with here? Because I went full geek and I started making different categories.
Nice.
So I had a funny / kids category. I had a caroling category. And then I had a pop Christmas category.
Okay.
And a Christmas classics category, and then I had to merge them all together and pick a top 10. And then once I did that, I renumbered all of the songs that didn't make the top 10 in those categories, so that they were still a top contender in another category besides all category top 10.
It's tough. Well, and I know we were talking a little bit before about both of our affinity for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I go through phases throughout the year. So as I start getting into my Christmas music phase, which my wife could probably tell you exactly when it is, but it's earlier than many. I tend to give myself a 2 or 3 month cool down period after the holidays are over. But I start with holiday jazz, and then I start moving into the stuff that actually has lyrics. So, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is definitely. This doesn't spoil anything on my list, but I actually found a group, which is a really interesting group that has a great Christmas album. It's jazz, but they're called the Ska-Fish. So they typically did a lot of punk and ska type of music albums. And then I don't remember the story, but for some reason they decided to make a Christmas album, and it's fantastic, and it's all just jazz. Totally different stuff for them, but yeah. So
before we start, I would like to say that the Eagles recently released a new Christmas album.
Okay.
I have not yet listened to it, but I want to just preface this with I have not yet listened to it. So there's a really good song on there I do not yet know. And therefore they did not make my list.
Yeah, I feel we went through a dry spell where there were not any new original Christmas songs for a while that were actually decent. And I feel I've been hearing my daughter sing some recently that I'm where is that from? So I feel there's some artists that are coming out with some new but original Christmas songs that are kind of good, kind of fun. So be interesting to see how this could change in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I had no idea. I think most of mine, all of mine are have been around for a while, we'll just say.
All right, so with that in mind, let's start with your number 10.
Okay. My number 10 is Christmas Eve Sarajevo December 24th, instrumental by Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra in concert?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay. I have. I went when I was like in high school, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic performance, even if you don't care for Christmas music. It was just a good performance.
I almost went last year, but they were in Dallas after Christmas, like between Christmas and New Year's, and we had family in town, and I just couldn't really swing it. But yeah, it's on my one-day list.
It'll happen. They do. There's no shortage of shows. I feel like one person that I want to see live that it's like I'm running out of time to see if I don't do it soon is why am I drawing a blank on his name? Bocelli.
He was in Dallas recently, like last week, but Chris was sick, so like we didn't end up getting tickets and going. Yeah. And like I was watching the tickets, and like they were not horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he's
is like who the person is. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like he's in Boston fairly frequently. At least like once or twice a year around the holiday period. So.
Yeah, he was doing a Christmas show. It was like all Christmas music. Yeah.
The holiday season must be busy for him. I'm sure he's going all around to all the major cities.
Probably.
He's probably got the whole tour. All right, so my number 10 is O Tannenbaum from Nat King Cole. I'm a sucker for Nat, and I love that because like he has O Christmas Tree, like the English version. I love the German version because of the history of Christmas and how the tradition of the Yule log is what really kind of in Germany started to create the tradition of the Christmas tree and how that got brought from, the German royalty to England and all that. So I love it being in German because of that history. Not that I know German or have any other affinity to the language. I just think it's fun, and like having an English speaking artist that has an entire song in a foreign language, I think is kind of cool. So lots of fun memories.
That song was actually number 1 on my caroling list. O Tannenbaum.
Nice. It's like O Tannenbaum is one of those that I feel like for classics, Nat King Cole, or you could go with like the Peanuts version is always up there. Like there's a lot of good. So like for me, I like putting in the artist because like I have an affinity to some artists, but like there's a lot of really good ones for all of these, So.
Oh, definitely.
What do you get for number 9?
For number 9, I have "It's the Most Wonderful Time of Year" by Andy Williams.
Yes, Andy Williams' version of that is. I was listening to that the other day, and it immediately brought me to watching Home Alone. Like
it's also just like it's a song that I think as soon as you hear it, as soon as you hear "It's the Most Wonderful Time of Year," like you're immediately like Christmas.
Yep.
Your mind just immediately goes there.
There is one other thing that my mind goes to, and I think Staples
commercial.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So like going back to school and the parents are like so happy and the kids are
Yeah.
My mind goes to those two places like simultaneously, Christmas and then Staples and back to school. So.
Yeah, that's called good marketing.
Fantastic marketing. Yes, absolutely. Number 9, I have Jingle Bell Rock, and I can't remember the guy who sings it. It was some guy in a cowboy hat though, so if I remember correctly. I may be remembering incorrectly. I don't know, but that one also brings me back to Home Alone. The scene when they're playing that song. There's a lot of Home Alone has a fantastic soundtrack outside of the score and the original pieces that were made for it. So anyway, there's going to be a lot of Home Alone references for me throughout this conversation. All right, what do you got for number 8?
For number 8, I have "Christmas, Baby Please Come Home" by Darlene Love.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And I'm trying to think, wasn't there a version from like the Ronettes?
Probably.
I think there was a version that like I really like from like I feel like it was a mid-60s all female group.
Yeah, it was probably the Ronettes.
Okay.
I have a couple songs of theirs in my pop Christmas list.
Yeah, they have a good Christmas album. I don't know anything else that they sing. Like, I don't know anything else about them other than
Christmas.
Yeah. So. All right, number 8. I've got This Christmas by Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
And I don't know there's something about that song that as soon as it turns on, it hits me, and I just I feel like it's just a groove that I just really enjoy it. I don't have any built up nostalgia for it. It's just one that really hits me, and I really, really want, because of the song, I want to love the movie, and I want to love Chris Brown's version of the song, but I'm not quite there. I like it, but I don't love it. So.
For number 7, I have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Judy Garland. And we actually talked about this last year because one of my favorite movies is Meet Me in St. Louis, which isn't actually a Christmas movie, but has a very has this iconic song that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that one more later.
Okay.
So number 7, I have, going back to Home Alone, John Williams, incredible score, Somewhere in My Memory. I feel like that's one of those that pulls the heartstrings and just cues all kinds of memories. And I love that one. I always stop and kind of just focus a little bit, just for a moment. But it's also one that I don't feel like I hear much, if any, on the radio. Like when they're playing the Christmas loop on radio stations, I feel like that's one that I only hear when I'm playing my playlist. So it doesn't get, too much.
All right, for number 6, I have Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley.
Okay. I don't like that song.
What?
I don't. Well, so here's my thing, right? I don't have any affinity to Elvis music in general. Nothing against the guy. I just it's never really hit me. But I also whenever I hear it, I understand my child brain always kicks in, and it's just red and green are the colors for Christmas. Get blue out of here, right? So I know that he's not talking about the color. Right.
It's not decorating, Jake. It's I'll have a blue Christmas without I'll be depressed without you at Christmas.
I get, my adult brain gets that, but my kid brain is just why are you gonna decorate in blue just because somebody's not there? So I can't get out of the kid brain when it comes to Christmas. Sorry.
Okay.
So I've got Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee, which again, Home Alone. I always go right back to the scene where he's got the Jordan cutout going around on the train and all that stuff. So I love that. I don't know if I'd love that song without it being part of that scene though.
That song was number 4 on my pop Christmas list. So.
I feel like I'm picking a lot of your pop Christmas list.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's very different than an all-time this lit top 10 screams Christmas list, which is Anyway, okay, number 5. Everyone's gonna make fun of me, but I don't care. It's a great song. She's a great lyricist. Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift.
See, so there's a modern song, a modern original.
I think it's it's a little old now. It's not too recent anymore. But yes, it's definitely what we would call ultra modern in the card space.
Right. It wasn't made in the 1900s, so.
True.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that, but I'm sure we'll get some, fiery comments about some of these anyway. Some of them might be directed at me and my Elvis comment, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a little insulted. I thought about leaving the stream when you were hating on Blue Christmas, but
that's all right. That's all right. Take it with the territory. All right, number 5 for me is I'll Be Home for Christmas by Bing Crosby. And another one that's got a ton of really great renditions. but Bing, I really enjoy that one, and I love some of the connections and like where that came up as being kind of like a very popular. There's two Bing Crosby songs I think of being very popular, like with the troops and when they came back, and kind of opining for being home during the holidays, and then when they were, these songs kind of grew to more prominence. I think it's kind of like a fun bit of history to go along with it. So yeah, I also, when I was getting towards the end of my undergraduate degree, and I didn't know like where I was going to land for a job, I also didn't have a lot of money. So the Christmas gift that I got from my mom that year was an ornament that I had inscribed on it, "I'll be home for Christmas," because it was kind of like my way of saying to her, like, I'll be doing my best to get home for Christmas. Now, I don't think that she understood that the last line of the song is "I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my mind." So it's like, I'm not necessarily physically going to be able to be here. If I'm working in Oregon and, not making a lot of money. And but anyway, so that didn't happen. But she really enjoyed that because, yeah.
Yeah, that was number 9 on my pop Christmas list. But I prefer Frank Sinatra's version. That's
another great version. Can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah. Okay, for number 4, I have "It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas" by Michael Bublé, with special shout out to Perry Como.
That one was number 11 on my, and that was the one that we were talking about beforehand, that I was just like, I can't believe this one isn't on my list. Now, Perry Como's, I love Andy Williams' version. Yeah. "It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas" is also one that I think of every time that it, like the first snow of the year, or like, how in New England sometimes we kind of have like a few first snows because there's no snow that's like sticking on the ground. So it's like every time that it snows until we actually have some that sticks, it's kind of the first snow all over again. So, but yeah, I did have Michael Bublé's version because like that's my favorite of all of them. There's a lot of great ones.
Sure.
But, yeah. All right, number 3. No, we're at number 4.
You're at number 4, yes.
Yeah, I've got "Deck the Halls" by Nat King Cole.
A good one.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just like a little short one. I think it's like the perfect duration of the song, and it's one that like as soon as I hear it, I'm like, I need to go decorate the house right now. I need to go get some boughs of holly in my hallways and everywhere around the house. And Nat King Cole, I love his Christmas stuff is unbeaten for me anyway.
Okay. Number 3, I have a song that I'm taking back. Okay. And one of my friends who I went over this with, she said that we are taking this song back. "Baby, It's Cold Outside" by Dean Martin. I am taking this song back. He did not spike her drink with the line, "Hey, what's in this drink?" He got a little heavy on the alcohol pour, but he was distracted by trying to convince her to stay because it was so cold outside. So yeah, I'm taking this song back, and it's my number 3.
I like it. I actually watched a video that they were talking about the way that the figures of speech would have been, like how they would have applied to like our language today, right? And like some of the stuff, like say "what's in this drink," like they were kind of like phrases that people would use kind of tongue in cheek. Like it's very clear, like if you were around back when that song came out, I don't think that anybody would have raised an eyebrow at any of the stuff, because like there was nothing. It's very clear that there was no foul play going on.
Yeah. So. Agreed. 100% agreed. Like everyone needs to stop it. Like I'm over that conversation and I'm closing the book. I took it back. The song is ours again.
In agreement. I understand if some people don't like it and they have their own reasons, but I think that you should be allowed to enjoy it if you want.
100%.
And Elf is a great movie because it has it in there.
Yes. I agree.
All right, number 3 for me is "White Christmas," Bing Crosby. and another one that really became popular along with that movie. I think that the movie is more popular than it should be because of how popular the song is. That's my hot take for the episode.
I will wait to give my opinion on that.
All right.
For number 2, I have Carol of the Bells by John Williams.
Yes.
AKA the Home Alone song.
Yeah. So Carol of the Bells for me brings up more memories of the Santa Claus, because that is the song that plays as he's coming home late from the office to meet up with Charlie. And they have like kind of like the choir kind of caroling on the side of the road singing it as well.
Is that like the very beginning of the Santa Claus?
Yes.
When he's like pretending like he's stuck in traffic?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I did not get that whole scene until I got older. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, I don't understand what's happening right now. And now, like as I'm older, I'm like, oh yeah, they're trying to paint a picture of who this guy is. Yeah, I love the opening of the Santa Claus because like they have the jazz as the Santa is walking into the holiday party, and then like the holiday party is kind of fun, like corporate type of nonsense, and then the Carol of the Bells while he's heading home. I love the opening of that.
Great movie. I recently was like, it was pointed out to me that even in the very beginning, there are elves everywhere.
Yes. Yep.
Even before you're introduced. So I did not know that until recently. Like, I guess I wasn't paying as close attention as I thought I was as a kid. But yeah, so I think that adds a layer to that movie.
It's a great rewatch movie. The first one. Not so much the other two. There are elves throughout. Like when he's kind of like in the human world, throughout the movie, there's a lot of them in that opening sequence peppered in there. But like it's one that I will rewatch again and again, trying to point all of them out to myself. So
well, like I knew after we were introduced to elves, they appeared throughout the movie. At like when has like the kids sitting on his lap at the soccer game, or like in front of Charlie's house. Like I knew of those moments, but it's even before that, where I wasn't aware of it, but my niece recently pointed out to me. So
it's great. So Carol of the Bells, my son keeps asking me, I know I was telling you before he keeps asking me for the Grinch song. But when he hears Carol of the Bells come on, he says, "Oh, that's my song." So he's decided that is his Christmas song. It can be nobody else's. We can have it on our list, but it's his to own. So
I love that. That's adorable.
All right. So number 2 for me is the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. And the name says it all. It is the Christmas song. Although to this day, I've never had chestnuts that have been roasted on an open fire, or chestnuts that have been roasting anywhere. I know it's kind of like a New York City thing, but whenever I hear the song, I'm like, I should try that sometime. Maybe that's good. But
I don't think I've ever had chestnuts, like roasted chestnuts. But I would be interested to try it for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great song. That was actually number 11 on my list. I just was unable to bounce Elvis like you obviously were to make room for it. And I think that mostly is because Blue Christmas, let's get deep. My parents were divorced my whole life. So I always spent Christmas with one of them. And then the other would always talk about how sad Christmas is without the kids there. So to me, my childhood, Blue Christmas is very reminiscent of my childhood. My dad used to play that all the time, when I would talk to him on Christmas and we weren't with him. So that's why I couldn't bounce Elvis. But chestnuts roasting on an open fire is such a New England, New York thing that I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. And then my number one song, surprise, surprise, no one's surprised, is White Christmas by Irving Berlin and Bing Crosby. I love the movie. I grew up in Connecticut, where like in South Connecticut, like on the shore. So like it was always a little warmer than like pure New England. And we always wished for snow at Christmas. So I'm dreaming of a white Christmas is just like, to me, like there's nothing better than snowfall on Christmas. It just makes it that much more magical. So
absolutely,
that had to be my number one.
You know, and it's funny because growing up in New Hampshire, where it's much colder than a lot of other parts of New England, we almost always had a white Christmas. But I didn't realize how unusual that is for the vast majority of the world at that time of year. So it's funny whenever I watch like the Polar Express and he's looking out his window on Christmas Eve and there's like a foot of snow and the snow's falling, which is beautiful and magical and all the things that I want. But it's like, where does this kid live? Because that's a very snowy, like, I'm like, you must live in Wisconsin or like Buffalo, New York somewhere, because it's a very snowy climate that he's in. But yeah, like, I feel like what's more magical than having a little light snowfall on Christmas Day?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
So my number one is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Judy Garland and Mel Torme, who actually wrote the song and performed it. I love watching the live performance that they had on the variety show that Judy Garland had with her kids came and Mel Torme came like he was a caroler. And he actually has a line at the beginning about, you know, here we go a whistling. And a couple years ago, I didn't realize that that's a drink, a very tasty drink, almost like a spiked mold apple cider. So it's like a warm drink that people would have while they went caroling to keep themselves warm. You know, so yeah, I love that. And like, I also feel like, for me, like a lot of these songs and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, like it embodies like the vibe. If I could have a vibe for my personal Christmas, it would be, you know, sitting by a fireplace with a tree lit, like after the kids went to bed, after Christmas, after we've had a nice Christmas day, and I've got, you know, a nice warm drink, and, you know, just kind of like sitting there and, you know, relaxed. And it's just like, oh, okay, I can take a breath. This was a good Christmas day. Had a lot of fun, kind of like, you know, looking back at the memories that we've just formed. You know, I like kind of like that relaxed lounge vibe. And I also, there's like something almost romantic about sitting by a tree where that's the only light in the room. I love like the soft yellow light of a Christmas tree. So,
well, that makes me then question, are you a white light Christmas person or a multicolor light person?
I am a dull white, almost a yellow light Christmas tree person. Whereas my wife, she's a white light, but she wants like a bright white, and I want more of a dull light. So definitely white light.
Warm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I think there's nothing prettier than a Christmas tree that looks like the colors threw up on it.
So the Rockefeller tree is like perfect for you.
I actually prefer trees with snow on them. Like not cutting down trees and having them outside in nature where they belong. But if you're bringing them inside and you're decorating them, I prefer the multicolored light.
Yeah, like I don't dislike. I grew up with with a multicolor light Christmas tree for the majority of my childhood. With, you know, we would have the glass bulbs that you have to like replace some each year, and some of them would be blinking and some of them wouldn't, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So like I definitely have an affinity for like, and also like I don't know what it is, but there's something about the look of the light from the glass bulbs that I also really enjoy. And I know that they're making I've seen some lights like at like Home Depot and Lowe's now that try to kind of recreate that look, and have like that same size of light. So I think that's really fun. We also were a multicolored light on the exterior of our house when I was growing up. And then I think when I was in high school is when we switched to doing white lights on our tree and outside. My dad was obsessed with, you know, when they started coming out with the icicle lights.
Mm-hmm.
He was obsessed with those. So, of course, if they're going to be icicles, they've got to be some
White.
sort of white. Yeah. So,
Yeah. No, I agree.
yeah, but I like, again, the only kind of lights that I don't really love on a Christmas tree is like the ones that are like all blue lights,
Okay.
right? Like, again, blue is just not a Christmas color to me. So
Yeah. So we're in Dallas now. We've been in Dallas for about a year and a half now. And this year we're in a different apartment than we were last year.
okay.
So like we're in the same building, but like we're facing like uptown more. So
Okay.
like we face like buildings now, and the streets are lined with trees, and all of the trees have white lights wrapped around the trunk and into the branches, and it looks very pretty, I will say.
Yeah, I love when I start seeing like the holiday lights go up around like, you know, buildings and around like the cities and stuff like that. It's always a lot of fun. I was just talking to my brother-in-law. We're planning our annual trip with the kids to the Bright Nights lights that happen in Springfield, Mass. I guess it's kind of like a big deal in the New England area. There's a lot of people that travel from all around New England. I didn't realize that, but the kids love it every year. And this is the first year that my son's going to go. So he's 3, and he's now at an age where he can kind of like sit in the car for that duration of time without screaming and bothering everybody. So it'll be his first time seeing all those lights. So that'll be fun to kind of see it through his eyes. So. You know.
Yeah, we had something similar in New Haven. It was called the Fantasy of Lights, where they take Lighthouse Park and you could drive through and like they do all different Christmas lights. And
Okay.
that was something that I made Chris and his family do with me in Rockford when we were celebrating Christmas there. And I recently found out that there's something similar in Dallas, actually in Arlington, but
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought there was something in the Dallas area like that.
yeah, Dallas Cowboys and the Texas Rangers play in Arlington, and they're considered Dallas, so I also consider them Dallas. But
Close enough.
yeah, but so I'm thinking about making everyone go with me to that this Christmas, because I love going to see houses lit up for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And like all the lights, like when they do those drive-through lights shows, like
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, there was a house right near where I live that for years and years and years they had a massive light display on their house and their entire lawn. They actually had a radio station that their lights were all synced to. So people would line the street and just park, and they would turn the radio station on and like watch the light show that would be
That's
coordinated.
Awesome.
I can only imagine the effort that it took this family to do that. I mean, again, every year it seemed like they added more lights, and it wasn't like one of those that's like obnoxious and this, you know, it's so bright. I feel like it was tastefully done. But I think they moved or something happened. So I don't know if they moved and they do it wherever they are now, but that the house where they used to do it doesn't do that anymore. But
You gotta find out, Jake. You gotta
I
find
do.
out
I gotta
where
do the
these
research.
people are now.
hunt them down. I remember as a kid, my least favorite part of the holiday experience as a kid was going to Christmas Eve service, of course. You know, I just want to go and like skip. I wanted to push fast forward and get to the, you know, the funner parts for myself. But what we would do after the service is we would drive around all the neighborhoods in the area and see Christmas lights. And there were a few houses that every year had certain displays that we always look forward to. One had like an entire display of like Snoopy and all the characters from Peanuts. There was one house that had like these gorgeous, massive windows that they put their tree right in front of, and they had a tree that like perfectly took up the entire window. You know, which is like always like a nice. It was. They didn't do a lot of decorations, but what they did were like very nice and beautiful. Yeah, so it was always fun going around and seeing all the houses lit, because like the neighborhood where my grandparents were, there were a lot of people that put some time and effort into their decorations each year, which was nice to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, always some fun memories for the holidays, right?
For sure.
Well, this was a blast. I've learned some new stuff about your holiday, and you know, some surprises on that list. So this was a lot of fun, and you know, I'm sure we could probably even do a part 2 and a part 3 to this if we wanted to.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
So I don't know what our holiday top 10 thing will look like next year, but I'm sure it'll be just as much fun. So.
Yeah.
Could be more songs. Who knows?
I mean, we could dive in. You could do like favorite Christmas cookies, favorite Christmas like locations.
Favorite Christmas gifts.
Jinx.
Wow. I think that's what it has to be now.
I think it might, yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate it, Jake. I always have fun, and wishing you and your audience a very Merry Christmas.
Wishing you the same. I'm glad that Chris is on the mend, so you guys can have all the fun that you want to have for the holiday.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk later.
Bye.